The far-left media website known as Splinter News is finally shutting down, and several staff members are reportedly being laid off. Now, apparently they're saying, internally there's not going to be layoffs. They're going to reallocate people, but other people have publicly come out and said they have been laid off. This is bad news for far-left media. Now, admittedly, Splinter never got a lot of traction. But let's back up a second. I have a question. Why are so many leftist digital outlets laying people off, firing people, collapsing? This is not the first. It won't be the last. But my next question is, why are so many conservative sites thriving and even being launched? Around the same time we hear about the demise of Splinter, we're also hearing about the launch of The Dispatch. Now, let's be real. The Dispatch is not pro-Trump. It won't be reflexively anti-Trump, they say, but it is guided by principles over party. There are a lot of websites that are conservative and not pro-Trump, not overly pro-Trump. And I see the pro-Trump personalities rag on them from time to time, but they do take a more conservative stance, particularly on social justice and policy issues. While this may not be good news for the Trump crowd, actually, hold on. It is entirely good news for Trump supporters. It is better to have a conservative anti-Trump site than a far-left anti-Trump site. So in the end, what I'm trying to say is we're replacing the far-left Splinter, who doesn't like Trump, with a conservative The Dispatch, which doesn't like Trump. Who cares if they like Trump or not? We're going to end up seeing more content talking about, the culture war from the side of the right. So let me tell you something. I used to work for a company called Fusion. Fusion was an ABC News Univision joint venture. They created a website. It was fusion.net. Eventually, they changed the name to Splinter News. Eventually, they sold that off. And then eventually, it collapsed. It's weird, right? People apparently don't want to read another blog that says Orange Man bad or talks about leftist identitarianism. In fact, that's the big point. The cultural issue here is that conservative websites are thriving. They're hiring people. They're expanding. Moderates and conservatives on YouTube, for instance, doing better than ever. There are a few progressive individuals who are doing really well on YouTube, but why is this happening? Now, if you ask someone on the left, the response I typically get is that the far right is emerging and the media is whatever, man. Perhaps it's simple. Perhaps you're disingenuous. You're not genuine. Perhaps no one likes your ideas. Perhaps people are tired of reading the same tired offense outrage. Perhaps people are tired of feeling bad and want to laugh, and you tell people they can't. Perhaps people are tired of being told what movies they can and can't see. Let's read the news from the Daily Beast. The website's parent company praised the outlet, but said it failed to bring in sufficient traffic. How odd. I bring in around 42 million views per month just on YouTube. Imagine if I worked for a digital outlet. Yeah, those views would be like they couldn't pull in anything with a company. I'm just a person. It's also technology and methodology, and let's admit it. They don't know what they're doing. And perhaps there's something tied together in this idea that the left can't meme, but they also can't seem to figure out how to run a successful business either. Splinter is shutting down. In an internal memo sent Tuesday to staff, Paul Maidment, the editorial director of Splinter's parent company, Geo Media, praised the site's journalism, but said the publication struggled to gain large numbers of readers. Despite the hard work of everyone on the staff, which has produced much outstanding journalism and great scoops, establishing a steady and sustainable audience for a relatively young site proved challenging in a fiercely competitive sector. If it's fiercely competitive, I think that's fair to say, but look at the layoffs. Vice, BuzzFeed, Vox. Well, I don't know about Vox, but I know Vox's evaluation is presumed down. But you get the point. Mike.com's collapse. All of these sites are hurting. Meanwhile, look at the Daily Wire and they're expanding. They're making a ton of money over there. I've heard rumors. Lots of money. Given that reality, the leadership team made the difficult decision to cease operation of Splinter and redistribute the headcount to other sites to increase the impact the editorial department can have overall. Maidment claimed there would be no reduction of Geo Media's editorial workforce as a result of this decision, and Splinter's headcount would be reallocated across other sites at Geo, the network of former Gizmodo Media, group sites including Deadspin, Jezebel, Gizmodo, and Jalopnik, among others. Our goal, wherever possible, will be to retain current Splinter staff members in open positions at other Geo Media sites. Some Splinter staffers, however, said they've been laid off. Deputy editor Jack Merkinson tweeted, "Splinter is shutting down and we are all being laid off." And staff writer Sam Grasso wrote, "I'm getting laid off." I'm going to have to say, when it comes to the message of you're getting laid off, I'll trust the individuals who are the ones in the firing line, not the company trying to save face and keep morale up. If you've got one person, what was he, the deputy editor saying we are all being laid off, and someone else saying I'm getting laid off, it kind of sounds like you're getting laid off. And it seems to me, it's my opinion, that of course the company wants to make sure morale doesn't go down. I'm sure all of the other people at these sites are worried they're going to lose their jobs too. Listen, you think it's just Splinter News? Nah, this is affecting everybody. Splinter is the first to go, which, look, man, you know what? I can't believe anybody bought these sites. I gotta be honest. I remember when Univision bought them and I laughed because they paid an exorbitant amount of money for it. And I guess they thought by buying these properties that had pull, it would work. But you know what, man? Let me tell you something. Traffic is not an audience, okay? And so these sites mastered the art of producing content that would shock people into clicking it, rage bait, right? So let me give you an example. If you go to my main channel, you can see that I did a video about China the other day, not yesterday, the day before. And it has like 120,000 views. It's pretty good. I'm not gonna pretend like it's bad, but relative to the other videos, it has much less. But you can also take a look at the engagement. You can take a look at the thumbs up. You can take a look at the comments. This is a really good way to determine audience versus traffic. When I make a video that's like a big breaking story or something more bombastic, right? So the video I did yesterday was impeachment is backfiring on moderate Democrats. Protests are erupting. People yell coup. A lot of people who don't like me are going to be interested in that story and click it and not subscribe. But when I talk about issues that are less, are more important, but less, I guess, eye-grabby, less partisan, less tribal, less rage-baity. For instance, talking about Chinese censorship. The video before that, Chinese censorship creeping into America. It's got a lot less views, but similar engagement. And that's how you can see there is a difference between traffic and an audience. What these companies excel in is getting traffic, but not building an audience. They write a story that says Orange Man bad, people click it, but people don't care to come back. This is the big problem with these digital sites and why, I think a new strategy needs to emerge for social media for news websites. Do you have, CNN tab, like an open tab where you refresh it? No, people go on Twitter or Facebook. They share links. And that's how people are driven to websites these days. They don't go to Google and type in news and then find CNN. Some people do. I get it. But for the most part, it's a fleeting image. You see that link, you click it, you never come back. Now on YouTube, it's different. YouTube is a centralized hub full of many different creators, and the YouTube algorithm recommends things. Some people, it's actually a very small amount, watch my videos based on notification. Some people, it's also a very small amount, watch my video by manually going to the subscription feed and coming in. Alarmingly, the majority of the traffic I get is browse features, meaning people who are likely subscribed, but YouTube shows that image, like when you log in youtube.com. So there's a difference between traffic and an audience. And because of this, the more bombastic, rage-baity content generates more traffic. So to an investor, they're going to see those numbers and they're going to say, wow, look how many views you get, not realizing those views are contingent upon their ability to produce shock sensational garbage. And if at any point they start writing calm think pieces, their viewership would drop dramatically. So what happens then when there's nothing left to say? How many times can you say Orange Man bad? Until finally people are like, I've read that article 50 times. And it's one of the things I've been really frustrated about in the past couple of weeks is that I'm seeing the same articles over and over and over again. It's like, dude, you told me that. This is not news. Even the video I did yesterday about moderates facing a backlash. Yeah, I've talked about that 80 times. It's like the news is drying up. So now what we're seeing is these far left Orange Man bad, networks, they're struggling and they're shutting down. And conservative sites, which are still playing up to Orange Man bad, are launching. What that says to me is, it's not about Trump. Trump is a symptom. It's about this cultural issue. It's about people wanting to laugh, watch movies, and tell jokes. And sites like Splinter telling you you're wrong and you're bad for doing it. Now I have this tweet here. Alexander Chan said, as of today, Splinter will cease publication. It has been my greatest honor to have been the editor of this site, and I love this staff to my dying breath. Thank you to all of our readers, fans, and haters. It's been a thrill. Further details, TK, Splinter forever. And this individual from, I believe, The Nation, a researcher of The Atlantic, I hate this so much. You guys did outstanding work. And this is such a loss for leftist media. Solidarity with you and the team and wishing you all the very best. Now, I guess I'll say, to those who lose their jobs, I sympathize. It's not an easy thing to learn. And a lot of these companies don't tell people you're about to lose their jobs. But I have to stress a very important point. When I was at Fusion, they produced a video called Open Mic Massacre, in which a comedian tries telling a joke, but every time he does, people boo him and tell him he's a bigot or a racist or transphobic or something like that. And that was the point of the joke. It was coming after, I believe, Jerry Seinfeld said college campuses have become too hostile. And so they made this joke where, while the guy's on stage, protesters come up and call him a bigot and a mansplainer. That video got hundreds of thousands of views overnight, relative to the other content they produced, which was getting hundreds to thousands of views. And I talked to some people there and I said, do you know why that is? Because people don't like this stuff. You make fun of it and people laugh and click and cheer you on, but you dance around in this insane cancel culture of wokeness and people leave. And it was funny. That video doubled the subscriber count for that YouTube channel. It's not very a lot, it's not a lot of subscribers. But they made a lot of stuff that didn't really fly. They started doing some like celebrity stuff and started doing really well. And I said to them, listen, get away from the woke insanity. This is a fringe of the fringe. But they were convinced, absolutely convinced, that if they went full far left, they would succeed. And then, everything came tumbling down. Mass layoffs happened shortly after I left. They renamed, they rebranded, trying to do something with what they had. They sold it off. I think it got sold. Splinter, I believe Splinter was sold once. And now it's over. Let that be a lesson to everybody, man. You can't. I don't know what these people were thinking, but you know what happens? Let me just say, liberals and conservatives, the average liberal and conservative, spineless. Yep, you may be offended by that statement, but you know what? When it comes to moderate liberals, people like me, how many of them are speaking up and speaking out and saying enough? Stop. Very few. You get someone like Dave Chappelle finally stands up and says something. Bravo. You get people like Ricky Gervais. Bravo. They're not conservatives. But then I look at what's going on with, the conservative side. And you have these nonprofits that are supposed to be nonpartisan under IRS rules that are, of course, partisan. And where any conservative standing up and fighting them, they don't. When Steve King says deplorable things, the conservatives have no problem throwing it out and being like, yeah, we're gonna play ball. The left doesn't do that. What I'm saying is, not to be overly mean to the moderates of this country, but the fringes of the fringe have no problem breaking the rules and saying insane crap to get what they want. And you end up with websites like this. Look at what happened to Vice. Vice used to be edgy and offensive, and then over a couple of years turned into a woke outrage machine. It's incredible how that happened. The name of the company is Vice, which means wicked or immoral behavior. And they're a shell of their former self. It's sad, really. The point I'm trying to make with being offensive to the moderates is that when you don't stand up and defend what you believe in, then the fringes seep in, change everything, kick you out, and you say, well, I'll just mind my own business and I'm going to leave. And then there you go. There you go. So there are a lot of people I understand who do fight back, and fine. Like, obviously, there are moderate individuals who speak up, me being one of them. And there are many conservatives who absolutely are engaged in fighting back in the culture war. The point I'm trying to say is, it's the average person. I'm not singling out liberals or conservatives. I'm saying the average person says, please leave me alone. I don't want to fight. And when you do that, the crazies take over and try and burn it all down. So whatever. I'll leave it there. Stick around. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. at youtube.com/Timcast, and I will see you all there.